preparing, testing, hoping that we're going live. Nothing's worse when you sit here like a zombie waiting for it to tell you you're live. So we're probably live right now. Okay, now we're live. Hi, everyone. Oh, thanks for joining us. If you guys are watching at any point during our live stream or you watch the replay, please let us know in the comments and say hi and show your support for Ace and for the Embracing Your Arrows project. I am so excited to have with me today Ace Kyptyn. Ace, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a somatic sexologist. I work in the erotic blueprints and bondage, and I help people become erotically liberated and figure out how they're naturally wired and how to have like a juicier love life.
What is bondage? I never heard that word.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bondage slash kinky massage. And so
Oh,
kinky means something that's taboo for you. So it helps you connect deeply into your body and find out what sensations you enjoy. Yeah, it's super fun.
that's so cool. Awesome. And Ace is also one of our wonderful authors for the Embracing Your Eros book project. And if you guys are, been following in my community, I've launched this incredible anthology. We're still enrolling authors. The book is called Embracing Your Eros. And the intention is to feature everybody from different walks of life and how they have embraced their unique eros in their life. And the whole point of this book is inspiration because what I found in my own life is embracing my own eros has been a deep, fundamental part to finding wholeness and healing in my life. And I think that most of the world sort of looks at like our erotic pleasure, our eros, as either like at worst, like dirty and bad, at best, frivolous and definitely unnecessary. And I feel
Mm.
like everybody in the book sees it differently. Yeah. What's been tell us a little bit about your journey with your eros.
Yeah, yeah. So my tagline is from missionary to missionary and beyond in the bedroom. And it's pretty juicy, let's be real. I grew up in a conservative Republican Christian household, and I took a vow of celibacy for 38 years. I was a theologian, I was an executive leader in a very large international Christian organization, and my entire world fell apart. And in that moment, I was all alone and I had no support around me. And I was like, how did I get here? What part of me did I abandon? And how do I get out of this situation that I'm in right now that's deeply painful? And yeah, so I went through a death of an ego basically. And I went through a process of really uncovering who I truly am. And what I realized was at the age of 4, I started showing signs that I was not going to be a typical girl. I did enjoy doing girl things. I was very interested in the masculine. I dressed like a boy. I played with boys' stuff, boys' toys. I went hunting. I just had no desire in the feminine. And because of the culture that I grew up in, when I was at home, I could be myself. But then when I went out into the world, I couldn't express who I was. And I had to put on a mask, a fake me. So I had to wear dresses and do my hair and sit like a girl and, all of the stereotypical things. And so what I learned at a really young age was it wasn't safe to be myself. And I had to abandon my own desires so that I could fit into societal, religious, political, familial like norms in society. And so when my entire world fell apart at the age of 38, I decided I really wanted to dive into my gender, identity, expression, and orientation and learn how to be my authentic self and live a life that was no longer repressed, but was actually liberated. And so I started a journey. I hired a sex coach, I hired a doctor, I hired a therapist, and I started a journey into uh, understanding my Eros and reclaiming my Eros and living out of that space. And now I have a flourishing lifestyle where I'm actually helping others understand what this looks like for them and how to actually have ownership of their life in the direction that their life is going and live a life that they're excited about versus living a life according to societal norms.
Wow. First of all, I mean, there's some part of your story that's like deeply human relatable of like, some part of us that we feel we have to hide, but I
Mhm,
as I say that, then I think like I can't imagine like gender in our culture has become such a deep, deep part of our identity. And
mhm,
and so, I mean, you kind of like glossed over this part, but I can only imagine like what it must have been like for 38 years to know that your pleasure in all things, not just sex things, but also like just
mhm.
the types of stuff you enjoyed doing, you had to kind
Yeah.
of like, no, it's got to be this direction. It has to look this way.
Yep.
Um, wow.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, I always felt bad, broken, wrong, and sinful in every desire that was coming up naturally, right? Like the human experience part of life, the part of life that we're supposed to enjoy, I had to repress because it wasn't allowed to be expressed. And so, yeah, it was a really deep awakening of, okay, how can I be in my body and not walk around this world numbed out and disassociated? Because that's how I learned how to live the first 38 years of my life. It was a self protection mechanism of, in order for me to survive in this world, this is what I need to do. And so I made a shift, a conscious decision, an intention to say, I don't want to live my life in this space anymore.
Mhm.
I want to actually be able to enjoy and have pleasure. And so what I did was I learned how to transmute the pain that I've experienced and the pain that I knew so well into pleasure.
Whoa. Okay, say
Yeah.
more.
Well, it's a very deep journey for sure, for sure.
I need more
I think
time.
it's gonna take more. Yeah, we're gonna need like another like 4 hours to even start to scratch the surface of it. Yeah, but really what it was a beginning to rewire my nervous system.
Mm.
And I think a lot of us, I don't know if you've heard of the window of tolerance. It's basically when we go into fight or freeze or fawn, we only have a certain amount of tolerance in this world where we can actually show up and be engaged. And then, like, if we get outside of that window of tolerance, we start to shut down, we start to collapse, we start to kind of move into the background and kind of fade away. And what I learned how to do was get into my body and experience safety for the very first time at the age of 38. There had never been a moment in my life where I felt safe to be me. But I
Whoa.
was in a room with a professional, and whatever was arising in that moment was okay. So if I was angry, if I was sad, if I had sensations flowing through my body that I didn't understand, like it was okay for those to arise. And what ended up happening was I went through a 4 year journey of rewiring my nervous system so that I can actually have a larger window of tolerance. And what I like to call it is a window of presence, where I'm actually engaged in this world and I'm truly myself, and people get to see who I am. And I can, go from um, basically stagnation to activation, and I can choose how I want to show up in this world. It's a really deep dive into like nervous system development, which is what I work with my clients and understanding how we can actually be present. Because for me, I couldn't be present as I was. I had to be fake and kind of numb out to be, I don't know the right word, acceptable maybe, to be, people didn't see me for me. They saw me for who they wanted to see.
Yeah.
And so it's just been a really interesting, like deep dive in that rewiring of, okay, who am I authentically inside? What wants to come out? Who wants to arise? What wants to be expressed? And then having a safe space in order to explore and get curious and kind of follow some of my pleasures and be like, this is who I am and this is how I want to express myself in this world.
Wow. I just think that this lends so beautifully, your whole story and everything you've shared lends so beautifully to like a deeper understanding of what it means to really embrace your arrows. Like there's so many fun, like definitely sexy, erotic, like things about arrows. But I think like what we don't realize is like the pursuit of that truly does bring out our true self.
Mhm.
And I told you this the first time I met you, but it was like I often catch myself saying like, wow, I never thought I would have to like die and be reborn so many times in one life. And
Yeah.
you know, how many different like mentors and things I've needed in order to like do that and have the courage and like and just be able to even keep putting one foot in front of the other from time to time or just get to
Yeah.
that point, right? Then I'm like,
Yeah.
nobody could be better to guide someone through that because it's sort of like, I mean, whatever kind of death and rebirth I think I'm going through, like you get it 10 times, 100 times. Like, oh my goodness, Ace. Wow. Wow, wow. The other thing I
Mm.
said to you when we first met was, um, I didn't understand. Well, I'm still new to like terminology and whatever. And like, and you're like, no, like I was born a woman. And I was like, what? But you're hot. And I was like, am I allowed to say that? Is that like, but isn't Ace hot, you guys?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's so beautiful. And to like, you know, I mean, I can only imagine like the rest of your life, you'll be needing to heal from elements of all that has happened through this journey. But like the
Yeah.
groundedness that I feel from you, it's so
Mhm.
beautiful. And I think that like getting to talk to you and people like you who have had similar experiences has made me realize like you guys are the most courageous people on the fucking planet. Like, you know, I mean, wow. Because you don't know how your community is going to respond or how you're going to be received. And
Yeah.
so I just want to hugely congratulate you and thank you for the work
Mm.
that you've done on yourself so that you can turn around and be a resource for other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, a lot of trans individuals end up losing everything when they come out. That's what happened to me. I lost my community, my friends, my family, my religion, my house. I lost everything. And part of me gave it up because it wasn't in alignment with who I wanted to become. But there's a lot of hurt in that process. And I think what I've realized through this process is I didn't understand how difficult it is for trans individuals to actually thrive in this world. I think 30 I think the statistic is 33% or less of trans individuals have a house, financial means to meet their expenditures in a month, and insurance, which that is a typical thing that the most American family can do, right? It might be hard for them, but only 33% of trans people have all three of those things. And so realizing like for us to be our authentic selves, we have to and we choose to lose a lot of security in this world, simply to be ourselves. And it's getting harder and harder in this political climate. I don't really want to drive down this rabbit hole too far, but for us to exist and be seen as human and be seen as fully human, it's a really hard space to be sitting in today in this society. So, what I want to say is thank you for recognizing and realizing the LGBTQ community and doing the work to get to know us on a personal level. I think a lot of times people will other us and they'll say, those people out there. But when
Mhm.
you actually get to know us and engage in our stories and see the hurt and the pain that we're experiencing on a day to day level, it starts to humanize us. And I've really enjoyed just the friendship with you and the desire that you have to lean in and to learn and to hear and to listen. I think that's something that a lot of people in this world don't have the desire for. So I just appreciate your compassion and your empathy and desire to grow and understand our culture and that we're the same. We're just like you, just trying to live and survive in this world.
1,000%. And thank you. And thank you for bringing in those statistics. Like, that's really important. And it's not something I know a lot about. And I want to. I'm so glad you shared that. Um,
Yeah.
I, I felt always this cognitive dissonance in the religion that I was in, about the teachings that we had about people in LGBTQ plus orientations. And it was always like this. Two different sort of messages that were swirling about this. One was, you can love the sinner and not love the sin, referring to any sort of gay activity or gender changing or any of that stuff as if
Hmm.
it's all a sin. The other sort of teaching around it was, well, maybe we look at it more like a disease. Like, you're born with depression, but that doesn't mean you have to embrace your depression. And
Mm.
and then meeting people and seeing, like, family members. We have family members even who are raising a daughter. There's two women, two mothers, and whatever, just seeing these
Hmm.
people, like, they're good people. I don't understand how we can say, like, this is what's happening, and we can put them in these boxes. And then furthermore, it's like, in that religion, if you act on any of your urges or your
Hmm.
temptations into that sin
Hmm.
or disease, you are welcome to be in the community, but you're not allowed to do anything while there, including, you're not
Yeah.
allowed to pray. So, like, public humiliation things would be very common. If
Hmm.
you were to show up at a Mormon church, it would be like, hey, could you say the prayer? You'd have to say, no, sorry, I'm a trans man. I'm not allowed to pray in public at this church. Like, what? In hindsight, I'm like, how could I have thought that that was okay? And how could I,
Hmm.
have thought that that ever could feel like love to anyone? Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
for some people, there are like lovely Mormon people. I know Mormon people have good hearts and everything, and there are lovely Mormon people who are gay but choose not to act on it so that they can get all the rights and blessings in the church. And my heart aches for them because I think it's
Yeah.
a really hard life, and they have a really high suicide rate. Well, you can
Yeah.
imagine, like, which
I
you
mean, that's where I ended up in the Christian church, right? Like, I was suicidal. I had a death of an ego. I didn't know how to exist and how to move forward. And yeah, it's hard when those inner longings that you have that are naturally wanting to be expressed have to be repressed.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a hard journey.
And somehow, I think for me, the pursuit of Eros, though I wouldn't have called it that in the beginning, is almost become my new religion. Because it's as simple
Mm.
as, like, no, I don't want to eat that for breakfast. I want to eat something else for breakfast. It's just a matter of, like, following what brings me joy, what lights me up. And it starts there, real small, but it goes into these, like,
Yes,
corners of, and it really forces you to confront shadows and stuff you were trying to hide, and, like, right?
100%. Totally understand. Yes.
So,
Been
yay.
there, done that.
Hmm. Well, this has been such a beautiful conversation, and yeah, even in running this book, I didn't necessarily know that it was going to lead me to needing, obviously, to share, like, the past pieces of how I saw things to now. And just,
Mhm.
I'm so grateful that I got called. I feel like it was a calling from the universe and maybe even from my own soul to be like, it's time to step up and in, and, like, like,
Mm.
yeah, face some of the ways that you've viewed things,
Mhm.
and start fresh. And so, and I hope that that's what it does for the readers. I hope that this book, we can just really bring forth stories that make people question how they've seen things and get out of boxes, and especially within their own experience.
Yeah,
Because really, it's sacred. It's like holy work. It
yeah,
is.
totally. Yeah, my hope and desire is that we can get people to understand that we're going to move from the conditioning that we're used to and into experiencing the totality of the human experience. That's my desire for
Mm,
everyone in this world of like stop living life the way that you think you have to by the rules that everybody else makes up. What's right for you in this moment? And then following your pleasure into that space.
wow. And yeah, and you are like the perfect person to guide people through that, like I said already, because you're like,
Mm.
yeah, and I was willing to give up everything for that. And you did.
Mhm.
And look at you
Yeah.
now. So great. Well, we're going to have so much fun. We've already had our first group call with the first, we've got almost a half of the authors called into the Embracing Your Arrows project. We are still looking for lovely authors to come and contribute their story into this beautiful project. And if something here resonates with part of your journey, we would love to speak with you. You can feel free to just DM me, Melisa Keenan, and say Embracing Your Arrows. Or if you know Ace and you want to reach out and talk to Ace about why he said yes to the project first, I think you're cool with that. Yeah, Ace?
Absolutely. Yeah. Feel free to reach out. My inbox is open.
And is there anything that you want to share about like things that you're doing? I mean, you have such an important
Mm.
mark in the world. What are you doing right now, Ace?
I feel like I'm doing a lot of really great things. So this weekend I have an erotic blueprints 2 day training going on. I have a BDSM event that I'm running with one of my friends here, Michaela, who's the host of it. We do something called Carnival Dungeon. It's a very intimate, safer, braver space to dive into all your kinks and desires. So it's super fun here in Boulder, Colorado. My calendar is just exploding with really fun experiences for people to drop into their bodies and experience more pleasure. So if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out. I love helping people explore their curiosities and get exactly what they want.
So cool. And as you can see, Ace is super friendly and easy to talk to and stuff, even about all of this type of stuff. Like, oh yeah, even the names of everything you just listed in my body was kind of like getting tight, like, oh wow, that sounds really intense. And we just prefaced it so beautifully, like, this is healing, this is beauty, and then like Carnival Dungeon, yeah.
I have this like really dark, energetic, like mythical piece in me, and this like dark piece of me that never could come out before. But now that, since I've been doing this embracing my arrows piece in my journey for myself, it's starting to come out and it's really it's just electrifying.
So awesome. Thanks everyone for watching. Again, please say hi in the comments, and please give Ace a follow on Facebook. Like, tremendous, beautiful content. You're a content machine over there. I love it. And thanks everyone. Bye now.
Bye. Thanks for your time.